Hello, it's me, Chris, joining you here from my office. I'm just starting off with a little bit of a disclaimer to this video because I messed up a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Basically, there's no footage for the first 10 minutes in the video of the podcast this week. So the Classics podcast is missing a little bit. And it's a bit of a shame because we talk about the fantastic new visuals. However, after 10 minutes, all video, it's all there. So just watch the first 10 minutes. Look at a nice picture of us, or whatever I decide to put up there in a minute, and listen. We've got all the audio there, so the first few bits, it's all fine. It's just introductory stuff, really. But there's all Lucy's history stuff in there as well. And then after a certain amount of time, the video will kick in, and it'll be just like it normally is. And next time I do one of these shows, it'll all be like that because I'm going to stop messing up now. Hopefully. Anyway, enjoy. Bye.
At 37 Disney Street, which isn't far from you, 3 Disney fans have watched a film which they will now review.
Hello friends and welcome to 37 Disney Street. The kids kept us up all night inventing, so we're holding back the yawns as we discuss classic number 47, 2007's Meet The Robinsons. I'm just not sure how well this podcast was thought through. I'm Chris Fletcher.
Keep moving forward. I'm Lucy Rain.
You are a special kid. Hello, I'm Hugh Rain.
We haven't really thought what to do with that bit of time there, have we?
No, it's like a Sondheim musical, how he just leaves little moments where there's not enough time to do anything, so the actors just end up sitting there.
We'll always find time to critique Sondheim, Chris. I do apologise.
We listened to Sondheim today in the car, and I said, the thing about Sondheim is, if you get it right, it sounds like you're singing it wrong, because suddenly the key will change, and to the uninitiated, they'll just think, what? Does he not know the tune?
Going on?
Anyway, yeah.
What about this? These visuals?
It's the new look.
Well, this is why we should just, on that bit, we should all plant our popcorn.
Yeah.
I've noticed something, by the way. Now, just a really quick thing, just so that everybody watching knows. Hugh and Lucy can't actually see this happening right now.
A lot of the people listening can't see it either.
And the people listening can't see it at all.
So we've got a new screen for the YouTube viewers.
Yes, and we're in the cinema, which is quite nice, with some friends.
Yes.
In and around. Now, the interesting thing for Hugh and Lucy to know, and I think Hugh might well have done this on purpose, I don't know, but right behind me is Minnie Mouse, and when I'm sat normally, I have most definite Minnie ears going on.
Have you got the bow as well?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh,
That was
wonderful.
Beautifully placed.
Once it was intentional, but as I made it, I thought that might happen, and I thought, well, that wouldn't be so bad.
I'm noticing a few favourites around as well.
I want people to spot every single name every single character in the cinema with us.
Excellent.
In the shadows.
There's also a nice bit of J.J. Abrams style lens flare going on as well.
Yeah.
I got that as I could have made it on Photoshop or whatever, but I just got it as a transparent PNG off Google Images.
Beautiful. Excellent.
This is fun
it's
talk.
lovely, and I feel very at home here. I don't know about you guys, but
This is like
quite
when
a
I
comfy
crack
cinema.
out the spreadsheet talk and you two zone out. It's like, that's fun. Okay. So, Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah, well, to showcase the new look 37 Disney Street, what a film to to do that with. Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah. It's a film that holds a place in my heart because I when Lucas was very little, I had a thing on a morning. We get up and we watch a kids' film, and this was one of the ones that I wanted to watch because I hadn't seen it. So I tried to watch it on many occasions and got a little bit of the way through, a bit more of the way through. As he got older, I tried to get him to watch it again. So I've actually watched this film a lot, and I have quite fond memories of it. So I was very excited to be watching this film again.
Now that's interesting. This is, when we started this podcast, is it like 18 months ago now?
Yeah, well,
2 years.
Recording 2 years ago, in terms of it actually being broadcast, it's just short of 2 years.
Right. So when we started this podcast 2 years ago, I think I counted 7 films I'd never seen out of all the classics, because I'm a big Disney fan. And most of them were in the war years, and then the rest were all here. So The Wild, what did we do last? Chicken Little.
Dinosaur?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'd seen Dinosaur.
Okay.
I worked at the Disney store when Dinosaur was out.
She talked
I
very
was,
passionately about that at the time, I remember.
I was flooded with Dinosaur at the time. and this, and I'd never seen it. Now there's a presumption in my head that if it's escaped me, it's because it's poor. So yeah, and I sat down with it because I really didn't like Chicken Little. I'm sorry, guys, but I didn't. And then I thought this was going to be similar, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. I think I've found a new film here. I'm not going to say it's Muppets Christmas Carol, but
What is?
The Muppets A
Lucy.
Christmas Carol.
Muppets Are the Christmas
Hang on,
Carol?
you added an "ah" in there as well.
Hang on, I need to get this right.
We're gonna wait.
Yeah, okay.
You gotta get this right.
The Muppets A Muppet Christmas Carol.
Lucy,
I can't do
listen
it.
carefully.
Go on.
The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, I'm so ashamed.
Now say it, Lucy. Say it right.
She can't.
I wasn't listening. The Muppet A Christmas Carol.
Oh. What's the ah? The Muppet A Christmas Carol.
Oh, this is brilliant.
Dear, we're going to leave that one there. Now, my experience of this is the opposite to Lucy. I was very much looking forward to it, as I often do with ones I haven't seen before, and this is one of them. But I was thoroughly unengaged throughout.
Oh, well, that's fun. Well, I guess we'll get talking about that in a minute, but Lucy, do you want to... Lucy, I have
Give
to
some
nod the
history.
opposite way. Luke.
It's time to dig a little deeper to learn some Disney stuff. Dig a little deeper, no, we ain't dug this far enough. Dig down deep into the facts, we'll find out what we need. Lucy will school us, guaranteed. Open up the windows, let in the light, children.
Factors
Going
up.
well, isn't it?
Okay. Right. So it was released in 2007 and it was the 47th Disney animated classic. It is 47th now, Chris, isn't it?
Yes, we're
Everything's-
back in line now.
We're back in line with the
Yeah.
countries. Okay, it was loosely based on a 1990 book, A Day with Wilbur Robinson by William Joyce. We'll come back to William Joyce shortly, but I didn't even know it was based on a book. It was directed by Stephen Anderson, who also voiced Bowler Hat Guy, Bud Robinson and Tallulah Robinson. And there were several writers involved in it, including Don Hall, who went on to co-direct Moana and Raya and the Lost Dragon.
Yeah.
But he also voiced the gym coach and Uncle Gaston. So there's a lot of kind of in-house voicing going on there.
Saving some money.
One more writer that's worth mentioning is Nathan Green, who went on to direct Tangled. Good work, Nathan Green. The production began in June 2004 with a 2006 release in mind. Stephen Anderson was storyboarding and story developing it, but he requested to direct it because he felt a personal connection as he was adopted. So he grew up adopted. So he felt a personal connection with Lewis. Now Joyce, William Joyce, who wrote the original book, he was also an illustrator and he had become a filmmaker after developing robots for Blue Sky.
That explains the robot in this.
Yeah. he also did concept art for Toy Story and Bug's Life as an illustrator, which is how he made the leap into film to start with. And he would go on to one of his most popular series of books was Guardians of the Children, which would go on to become Rise of the Guardians. So he's actually quite prolific in the children's book to animated film leap. But the Disney initially went with Joyce's illustrations for large amounts of the concept art, but once they saw robots, it was too similar. So they tried to they reconcepted it. Reconceived it. But they kept the 50s vintage aesthetic of his books. In January 2006, John Lasseter took over as creative director of Walt Disney Animation Studios, and at this point he saw an early screening of the film. Remember, the film was meant to be released in late 2006, and he said the villain wasn't threatening enough. This prompted, as is often the case with Disney, a full rework, and over the next 10 months, 60% of the film had to be scrapped and redone. And the changes included a sidekick, which I'm presuming was the hat, a dinosaur chase, complete rework of the bowler hat man as a villain, and the ending was totally changed. I'm not sure how they would totally change the ending. They must be talking about details, because the ending is sort of evident in the entire film, isn't it? Anyway, We'll get to that. The soundtrack was by Danny Elfman and also featured Jamie Cullum, Rufus Wainwright, all American remakes, and They Might Be Giants.
Rejects. All American rejects.
Thank you. Keep dinging me, boys. I need it. And that's all she wrote.
Yeah. There we go.
There we are. That's fascinating stuff, Lucy.
Thank you. There never seems to be... I miss the conflict of the Dark Ages. You know, when Tim Burton was running off and having a tantrum? Yeah. I miss all that. It all gets very churn out of filmy at this point, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's also all still very recent, isn't it? Which means that people haven't written about this period particularly, so you don't get loads of information about it.
Yeah. It doesn't have the nostalgia element yet, does it?
No, I'm not entirely sure it ever will. Don't you just long for the wild and the days of Chicken Little?
Oh, yeah. There must be a generation of kids.
Favourite period, hands down. Early noughties, mid noughties, late noughties. Yeah, loved it.
In all seriousness, if you were 7 when this came out, then you're just turning 21 now. Is that generation of kids?
This is what happened with the Star Wars prequels. Is they're now getting praise from these kids who grew up with them, and it's their Star Wars films, and they love them.
I mean,
yeah, true.
As a lot of the listeners know, I have a job where I teach kids all the way from 5 to 18, and I'm thinking of the group of kids it would be. I'd never heard them mention Meet the Robinsons.
No.
And some of them were big Disney fans as well, because we did a lot of Disney music, Disney musicals and things like that. And I never remember them all. Oh, Miss, can we do something from Meet the Robinsons, please?
Yeah.
I think when I watched it, I just initially with Lucas, I just found it quite. I don't know. I quite liked the sentiment of it. I think, and that appealed to me.
Yeah.
But I'll talk more about that when we talk about the story, because what we're going to do now, as we always do, is we're going to break the film down into 3 nice handy sections. We're going to talk about the story, we're going to talk about the animation, we're then going to talk about the music, and that's going to give us a score of 90, because we get 10 points each for each one, and then we have 10 points left, and those 10 points go to the kids who are going to talk about the film right now.
Today we watched Meet the Robinsons. It's about a little boy who goes back to the future and he's trying to find his mum.
So the story is that there's this boy called Lewis and he's good at inventing and he doesn't have any parents. After the invention is done, Lewis goes to a science fair, but it fails because of a bowler hat guy. And then Wilbur comes and the bowler hat guy captures Lewis.
The little boy turns out to be his friend's dad.
So they got to see all of the parts of Wilbur's family, like all of them. And then because they were from the future, when his dad came back, they realised that was Lewis. And then when he went back to the past, there was this girl that taught frogs music, and Wilbur's mum taught frogs music, so they were the same, but one of them was older and the other wasn't. So one was from the future and the other wasn't. Lewis went back to the past, basically went and he made Goob, that's his name, Goob, win the baseball one and fixed up his invention.
There's a plant dinosaur and he turns into a real dinosaur.
Lewis got adopted and Goob got adopted, so the end.
I don't really have a favourite bit.
My favourite bit was at the end when he got adopted and the thing worked.
My favourite character is the little evil girl. And I like her because of her face is just like...
My favourite character was Lewis.
I don't have a favourite song either.
There wasn't really that much songs, so I didn't really like any of the songs.
I would give it a 2 out of 5. It's not that good, but I still like it a bit.
I would give it a 3 out of 4. 4 out of 5.
Lucas, why isn't Ollie doing anything?
Because he slept through most of it.
What score do you think he would have given it? 6 out of 7?
All of them, because...
All of them.
A silly score 6 out of 7, because that's normally what he does.
Yeah.
Bye.
So there you go. That was the kids.
Yeah. 2 of them. 2 out of 3 of them.
Yeah, Ollie fell asleep, bless him.
Mm-hmm.
He was watching it. I said, "Are you enjoying this?" He said, Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And then literally, it was one of those moments, he just went bang and he was gone. And he woke up at the end of the film and said, "Can we watch it again?" And I said, "Yeah, we can watch it again if you want. Of course you can watch it again. That's absolutely fine." And then 5 minutes later, he said, "I'm not going to watch it again, and I'm not going to record. I'm not going to talk about it." I said, "Can I just record you saying I fell asleep so I didn't watch it?" He went, "No, I'm not doing that."
Bonnie's finding less and less to say at the moment about these films. She's completely unfamiliar with them. She's not seen a stitch of an image of them. She's nothing to say about them.
I also don't think they're her kind of films.
Yeah.
Like knowing what she gravitates towards, they're not her kind of thing.
We're on the way out now, though, aren't we? We're on the way out of it all.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Shall we talk about the story?
Let's.
So it's time to discuss how the story goes. I know it can't be worse than Oliver and Coke.
Probably. Yeah.
It could be.
It could be.
Do you know, I was expecting, I know so little about this film, and I'm getting a bit muddled up here. I was expecting Ty Burrell to appear, but then I realised I was mixing this up with Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Because you mentioned Ty Burrell last week, and I thought,
Did I
don't think he's in it. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So I'm mixing that up. There's also Jimmy Neutron was a few years earlier than this, wasn't it?
Yeah,
7 years
definitely
earlier,
has a feel of that about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So I was really confused going into it.
I must say, anything I knew I had not seen any of this film. Some films, Chicken Little, I had seen bits of it when it had been on television. I knew I'd not seen any of this, but what I did think I saw, I think, is made up of a mishmash of Jimmy Neutron and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
There you go.
Yeah, and also it wasn't looking how I imagined. I was like, what's going on here? And then they went to the future, and I thought, oh, right, now it's what I imagined.
Yeah. Do you know, as I say, I was really looking forward to watching this film because I have fond memories of it, and I don't know why. If I'm absolutely honest, there's things about it. I do think it's got a nice sentiment, and I think the whole idea of him being left on the orphanage, the way that starts, and the way they bring it round again at the end is really sweet, and it's really nice. and the fact that he finds this belonging when actually he's a bit of an odd bod and he doesn't belong, and is entirely on his own in an orphanage, inventing PB&J dispensers. I like the sentiment, and I do like to jump all the way to the end of it, but I do really like the bit at the end where they show him growing up, basically in his observatory and stuff. It's a really nice little montage at the end. But I think it's the beach effect. I've talked about this before. I know, but the way I feel about the beach is that I think it's a terrible, terrible film. But anytime I watch that last scene where they go back about and talk about everything that's happened before when they were happy, I go, oh, isn't that nice? Isn't that a good film? I love that. Vanilla Sky's the same, and this is one of those films for me.
I needed to make that point as well, Chris, because that's a Walt Disney quote at the end. For starters, Walt Disney quotes. You know what I mean? Just, but also being a parent of a quickly developing 6-year-old, but also being a teacher, the idea of failing forward is something I'm just so passionately believe in. And I just drill into them. And it's always, I don't care how good you are, I care how hard you practice, or I care how much you improve, or that kind of thing, as opposed to actually achieving things. And it's something I'm so genuinely, as a part of my daily life, is trying to push this into kids, that if you get a film with that as the central message, I was happy about it. Now, the thing is, I felt getting there for the first half, the entire first half of the film was quite a convoluted slog to get to that message. It went around a lot of corners to get there. The minute he started saying that, just keep moving forward, and I recognised the quote as well, and they're working on that, I was on board then, and I was on board with everything from then on. And I saw what the twist was going to be with characters and with relationships. But seeing a twist doesn't mean it's a bad twist, I don't think. I don't have to have my expectations subverted particularly.
Well, I had no idea that Goob was the villain.
Did you not?
Is that obvious? Because, like I say, I wasn't very engaged, so I'm kind of.
It isn't, but I would say because his wife, when she turns up and there's the frogs, that's really obvious. And then when his adoptive mother turns up and she's older, it is just the same woman who was there looking at the science displays. It's just the same woman with grey hair. So those bits are pretty obvious. So you can put two and two together, I think, quite easily. But you're right. I don't think it's a problem that that those twists are there. And for someone like Lucas watching it, he was just amazed. He had a massive smile on his face at the end when he saw them all coming together, and he realised that that's the girl with the frogs from the start of the film.
Bonnie did.
It felt like he'd earned it.
Yeah, exactly. So it really is a tale of two movies for me in that respect. In that I expected to dislike it. I expected to dislike the look of it, and I did for the first 30 to 40 minutes, and then it totally flipped me in the second act.
I feel like I glanced away, and then when I looked back at the screen, there was a T-Rex, and I had absolutely no idea.
That is pretty much how it went.
Bonnie summed it up in the kids' bit where she says it was a plant. It was in a plant, and then it turned into a real dinosaur. But I missed that.
No, he didn't turn into a real dinosaur. He said, he saw the bowler hat, not unlike these mini ears, hovering over the top of the dinosaur, and went, oh, now that's a good idea. And then he used the time machine to go back to prehistoric times and get a dinosaur. But it did just happen like that. He disappeared.
I thought it must be something to do with the time machine, but then, I'm listening to a 6-year-old's interpretation of it, so I should have taken it with a pinch of salt.
Have you ever played Day of the Tentacle, a Lucas art?
No, I know of it, but...
computer game,
I think I have played that.
It seems like something you would have played, actually. It's a bit more...
It's a sequel to Maniac Mansion, and it's about a guy who's... basically, you travel through time. You go backwards in time and you go forwards in time, and eventually, you've got 3 different characters that you're running. It's a role play game, and you have to do all these different things, a bit like Monkey Island or something like that.
Yeah.
But the humour in those kind of games is very similar, I thought, to what this was, and the look and feel of it, although much more refined than the pixelated graphics of a early 90s role play game. Feels very similar to me. So that's something probably I found quite endearing about it was that in tone it was a very similar kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy the humour in this.
I didn't say I enjoyed it.
The humour, I found the tone of it all a bit lame.
It was too
There
in your
weren't
face.
there weren't proper jokes. They were just sort of like humorous interactions where like a character suddenly freaks out and that's hilarious because the character's freaking out. It was all a bit that. It was all very much of the time. I think it wasn't witty. Just yeah, just another thing that wasn't grabbing me.
I know from my past reading on various development of Disney films, when they've got these teams of writers, they've often got one sort of working on story development, and then a writer who might be brought on to add humour, and they're working on the dialogue and things like that. And they did feel like a bit of that layering. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't that the humour came from the situation or the characters or anything like that. It felt like people were just putting some.
It was like they were
Some
waiting
gags on top.
for applause and laughter. I felt every time a joke gag
Mm.
dropped, it felt like there was a lull in the film while it was like it was waiting for you to find it humorous. And I just don't think it would have hit in a theatre. I can't imagine rupturous laughter every time
Yeah.
Bowler Hat Guy said something stupid or a T-Rex went, I've got little arms and a big head.
Oh, I found that genuinely funny, Chris. That's the only bit that I really found funny because, yeah, he was sort of repeating what the frog had said, but he wasn't really saying it. And you look at his face. I quite like that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice
I
that
was
he
gonna
went back
say
in time
something.
and changed history though by helping Goob catch the ball. It's nice that I like a time travel story. Although
Yeah.
there was a lot of implausible things and people disappearing and then reappearing.
There's
And,
going to be don't
yeah,
delve into it. It's impossible to
and the bowler
dissect,
hat took
particularly
over
at
the
this
world.
level. That's what I was going to talk about. Now, the bowler hat guy, okay, as a villain, this was the reworked version. I didn't find him dislikable enough, but I also didn't find him sympathetic enough. And I think a lot of it was to do with he had a very weak, indistinct voice. And then when I found out that it was the director rather than a voice actor, I mean, it's not like just getting your mate in to do it. I know it's not. And often they've got a vision of how they want things said and done. And he was competent. But it does feel like a less than option to do it yourself, than to really cast it well. It needed casting really well. And I just don't feel like it was there.
I don't have a problem with the acting performance particularly, but if he wasn't really the villain, was he? Let's be honest. The bowler hat was the villain, and but you don't really find that out until later on. And all he was just a hapless idiot. But it didn't make sense that he was this hapless idiot when actually Goob, to all intents and purposes, when they introduced the character, he was helping Lewis do everything. He was passing everything to him without even thinking about it. He was helpful. He was knowledgeable. He was clever. He was driven.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's just an idiot.
And he was a bit of a tool to the hat as well. And they could almost have played that up more so you understood where the power thing was. And then you would have been more sympathetic to him. But yeah, he didn't have his own agency, did he? Whereas you're right, the child character, when he was cross at him for making him tired, and I want to go and do this baseball game, he had his own story there. He wanted to do something. He wasn't just a hapless idiot, like you say. He was quite a strong character as a child. There was also no physical similarities.
I didn't.
Well, I can talk about that in animation, I guess, but yeah, I had a problem with that across the board with the characters to it, really.
I didn't sort of appreciate that he was like some kind of old sort of fairground owner villain type of character. I don't know, like it's just such a. It's my same feelings about Despicable Me. Just that sort of archetype villain.
When was Despicable Me? It feels like it will have been the same time.
Maybe.
I don't know. Not sure.
Maybe a bit later. I don't know. But yeah, just found that style of villain very mundane.
He's Waluigi though, really, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's Waluigi. And the interesting thing is that then Mario have gone full circle because their most recent proper Mario game, Mario Odyssey, you have a character called Cappy in it, who's a hat, and when you throw the cap onto a T-Rex, you then control the T-Rex, and you can throw it onto a frog as well, and then you control the frog. So
That's interesting.
yeah, it's very interesting. They've definitely just lifted that idea from Disney.
It was 2010, so it was close, but not influenced by. But it didn't occur to me. There's big similarities, isn't there? Big similarities there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else to say?
Not really.
A couple of nice little cameos. Tom Selleck appearing when they said he was Tom Selleck, and then Tom Selleck, and it was Tom Selleck. It was nice-ish, I guess.
Yeah, just that voice just didn't suit him.
Well, no, it didn't, and,
No, it
and
didn't.
I
Middle-aged
question
man
why we had
voice.
to see him at all. I don't think there was
Yeah.
a need for him to be in it. And let's be honest, in Back to the Future, that would
Strange.
never have worked.
No, it
He
wouldn't.
couldn't have interacted with himself unless he was Doc.
He
who
taught
can.
himself a lesson, didn't he?
Yeah, there's just something not. It didn't need it. We knew it was him because we knew that they'd recognise the fact that it was him. So we never needed to see the guy. It wasn't important. And then he spoilt it a little bit, especially as, again, back to animation, I guess. But he had the same hair, but apart from that, he just didn't look the same. He was just a tall version with a long head instead of a little round head.
In summary, in my opinion, the first act needed speeding up and rewriting so that more was going on quicker. I agree that there was villain problems, and that's it.
Sounds like you're scoring it. Are you scoring it?
Well, I would not right that second, but are we ready to score it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go on.
score it.
Yeah, do it.
Okay, well, I'll go with what I just said. Overall, I found the message endearing. First act rewrite, didn't like the villain, needed a bit of work. I'm going to go with a 7.
The story was all right. It was engaging and appropriately complex for a story set in time. But the humour was a bit pedestrian and the cast seemed unnecessarily white. 6.
Oh, that is interesting, Huey. I think we've become very conscious of these representation issues recently.
I might not have noticed it a few years ago, but we're all sort of evolving and learning and looking at it. I just think, wow, why is that? It's it's just like I say, unnecessarily so.
No, it's a fair point, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I have really fond memories of this film, as I say, but and I think the story's fine, but that's all it is. It's fine. There's a great idea here. I just don't think it's been particularly well executed, really. I'm going to give it 6 as well.
Slow start.
Slow start. So
Animation.
yes, animation.
Look at the animation, you, the characterization, you, and don't forget the backgrounds and the style. Yeah, man.
Right. I think this explains why I was unengaged from the off. Is I just immediately, the first thing I saw was the characters, and I just thought they were unappealing across the board. I just didn't like the design of them. I thought they were, again, a bit pedestrian, and they were stylized, but in that sort of dated mid-noughties way that's just a bit boring to look back on. I thought the lighting was mundane. So from the start, I was just going, do I want to spend any time in this world? Although, well, I'll come on to that in a bit.
I'm with you entirely. My big frustration is the fact that the grown-up versions of them, they felt the need to disguise them enough so that you didn't clock on to the fact that it was people that you'd already seen, which is a stupid thing to do because people don't change that much. And when they show Goob growing up and his actual change and he's sat there on that bed, it's just unrealistic. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde transformation. It's just stupid. So that really frustrated me.
The body shape and everything. I know it was a child to a man, but this whole skinny legs, big square shoulders, hunchback.
Hook nose.
I mean, where did that suddenly come from?
Makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. And that's really frustrating to me. Yeah.
It was the look of it that put me off before I watched it. Now, I like my films to have a real concrete look, like right from the movie poster. You look at a movie poster, there's a color scheme, there's a feel for everything, and you get it with films like Raya that we've watched recently. You get that sense just from the movie poster, and this just seemed a mishmash immediately. And my first thoughts was, oh, this is back in the days when they couldn't do human faces, when CG just couldn't do human faces. And then I was doing my reading and my research, and I realised that Incredibles was 3 years before this.
Yeah.
Right. Now,
this is it.
Night and day.
This keeps coming up when I'm watching them. I'm thinking, oh, this is all right. And then I think, hang on, what has Pixar done so far? And it's just a different league.
And the reason I was looking at Incredibles was because of the 1950s futuristic thing, which I am all about. I love a bit of atomic design and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And when me and Bonnie were talking about it, she said, I've nothing to say. And I said, just say you like the mum's dress. Because I really did. I just loved that style and the hair flicks and all that, with the Judy Jetson thing right up my street for something that's meant to be a bit futuristic. And I was trying to think what else is like that. And I'm thinking Munisberg, and again, it's atomic design that's going on in the Incredibles, isn't it? It just wasn't a patch. No, I like that they tried, and I like that those nods were made, but it just wasn't achieved in the same way. And I think that from essentially the same studio, I know we can talk about the politics of Disney Pixar, but from the same studio, there'd been this amazing example of exactly what they were trying to achieve, and it just makes it all the more stark that they didn't achieve it.
Did you see when she, like right at the start, the baby's put on the thing and on the doorstep, and she went to pick it up, and she had fingers with the lines where fingernails start, but no fingernails. Just it was like you could see the.
Oh, I know what you mean.
It's like we don't know how to do nails yet, so we're not going to do that. We'll just nod towards it, and then the baby's eyes shut as well. I mean, it's a really basic thing, but it was just a line for the shut eyes, and it just looked wrong. Yeah, I was thinking about Incredibles a lot as I was watching it, but my impression of it was they're trying to do the Incredibles here. They're trying to do that, and it just seems ludicrous to me that they are effectively the same place now, and yet they're that far apart. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Too many colours for one. Too many colours when you're trying to do that kind of thing, and it was just a mismatch mesh.
What got me through this, because I wasn't really enjoying it, was the fact that it was a sunny setting and it was sunny outside today. That goes a long way with me. I was like, yeah. So I felt kind of optimistic, and like, when they got into the future, I did like the look of it because it was bright and it was blue skies and sunny, because often you get the future, it's just all cityscapes and nighttime and neon, and it was a nice bright daytimey film, and I do appreciate that. There's a place for that. It genuinely like a nice location to spend time in. But when they crash the ship outside the city, they land in this like field, and it's just uniform dark green across everything, and it looked so boring. And you just think, they could have very easily mixed up, put some shades in there, and it's just this flat green color dark green across everything, as far as you can see, uniform, boring. And what a shame.
Do you know what I thought? It's really interesting you bring up that shot and you describe it in that way, because there's quite a few shots that, when you see CG animation that hasn't been rendered,
it's not fused well.
they haven't put because you see what Pixar do, and it never fails to amaze me how many processes it goes through. They put the pause on the face, they put the lighting on, they put the this, they put the that, and it gets all these layers. There was some that looked like they still had a couple of jobs left to do. Somebody hadn't finished doing the lighting, or somebody hadn't finished adding a texture. It just looked unfinished, and that's a really
like
good
Mickey
example.
Mouse Clubhouse.
Yes.
Or like PJ Masks, like any sort of kids animation now.
But they've got budget and time issues.
Everything's really plasticky, and like they go to like a desert, but it's just like this sort of smooth surface with like maybe a rock here or there. And you just think, I just come on, want a bit of texture and some detail. It just looks so there. It's flump.
But then we absolutely laid into the wild in our last show. And if you think
it's
about
not
the
wild,
settings,
Dad.
no, but if you think about the settings there, in some respects, they were better.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
No, you might be right, Chris, actually. It was the dead eyes in the wild.
The animation wasn't good in this either, though. It almost had nothing going for it. Because sometimes you think, well, at least the animation was tight and solid, but it was very sluggish. I found a lot of the movement and that old man, forget, with the drawing on the back of his head. First of all, his voice was too young, but
That was the writer.
But
Don't do your own voices, guys.
But he just looked weird and creepy, and his movements were bizarre. There was too much of that.
That was not the writer, that was the director, Stephen Anderson, played Bud.
Oh, dear.
I know he tried. It could have been done so much better. Do you know what? If this film looked iconic, because the story did get me, despite faults, it got me. And if it had looked iconic, I think I could have been really sold on it. But it looked poor.
Okay, score. I'll go.
Yeah, go on.
Middle of the road character design, sluggish animation, but some nice locations. So 6.
I'm just looking at my notes. I've really got not much to say. It feels like the video bits in between a computer game are not a very good one to me. Yeah, I'm going to give it a 6.
So much potential, such poor execution. That's my thoughts throughout, and so I'm going to go 5. I know.
Music.
Danny Elfman.
We are going to talk about the music hits. Rate the songs and score the incidental bits.
Yes, Danny Elfman.
Is that it?
I don't think this is top of Danny Elfman's CV.
No, I was almost excusing it. I thought I knew it was Danny Elfman, so I was kind of listening to the score and thinking, yeah, that's Danny Elfman doing his thing. That's fine, but really, is it anything special?
That All American Rejects song is terrible.
Which one was that?
The one in the titles at the end.
Right.
And now, just on your point before about failing forward, Lucy, we had a conversation in the car the other day because Try Everything from Zootropolis came on. And so I was talking to Lucas about this and saying, how important it is that you're open to failing and things. And I actually thought at the time, this would have been a far better song to have been in that montage at the end of the film than the one that was in there.
Yeah, but would we have accused it of being too literal? Because we've had that comment before.
I think the thing for me about the music here is it's all right, but it feels like, again, like they had a budget and it wasn't too great, so they went for second-rate versions of decent songs instead of going for music that would have worked. It all fell apart. I recognised Jamie Cullum straight away.
Jamie Cullum. Was he was he just hot at the time, so they chucked him in? Because there just seemed to be no point other than he was a hot new thing. Let's find him something to do. Give him a singing frog bit.
Thing is, Jamie Cullum, I used to listen to his radio show on a Tuesday night.
I like the guy, but it's no point to him being in this film. But
he's not Michael Bublé. He's not a crooner. He is an exceptional jazz musician. He's one of those just next level improv, understands music. But his popular stuff is crooner stuff. It is Jamie Cullum, Michael Bublé. And I'm disappointed when I see him do that because for a while I became such a big fan. Not that I'm not now, but I got into him quite a bit. And I feel he's one of those massively underrated things. And this was a prime example of what you got Jamie Cullum on board and that's all you did. because he could have mixed that entire section. That song was written by Rufus Wainwright, but it was sung by Jamie Cullen, and it was very bland.
Mhm.
And I feel like, could you not have given him a bit of free reign with that? That could have been an amazing.
You sound very
centerpiece.
hipster right now, Lucy.
Oh, do I?
No, I
I've
completely
never really
agree with you.
understood hipster, but yeah, it
I'm
just
completely on your side with this.
yeah, that could have been a real set piece that
Mm.
with the frogs and the big band and
Mm.
all the music that came with it. They could have had their own themes, and it was very underused, I felt.
And it was a bit like the music in Chicken Little, really, wasn't it? Just like
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it wasn't.
let's find some songs that let's
Yeah.
write some songs that explain what's happening at this moment in time.
It's just
and
it's going
they're
through
a little bit catchy.
isn't it? This period's just going through a weird phase of just. Oh, mind you, I'm saying that, but like, you know, Lion King had Elton John, and he was, you that whole 90s period. You know, we keep saying what is with all these like irrelevant old musicians, but now at least they're trying to
now we
be
go.
modern.
Why have they got Jamie Cullum in?
But then I think it turns out if you get like someone who's perhaps considered a bit past the prime doing a Disney soundtrack, they have more opportunity to be timeless because they're out of time a bit.
Yeah.
Whereas this just instantly dates it. It ties exactly to when it was made, and you can't escape that. And you just don't want to listen to it, do you? You don't think, oh, I'm right in the mood for some 2007 Rufus Wainwright. Oh, maybe you are. I don't know.
No.
I was surprised when I found out it was Danny Elfman. I didn't know it was. And about 2/3 of the way through the film, because we are watching it to talk about it on the podcast, I thought, I haven't noticed the music at all. I need to listen to the music. And there was a few kind of quite good incidental bits, but I wouldn't have noticed them if I wasn't listening. And then I forgot again. And then I thought, oh, I'm still not listening to music. Now, the thing is with Danny Elfman is I've sometimes felt like his music is too overpowering in a film. His melodies are too memorable and too... Yeah, you really feel it there. And I just didn't feel its presence particularly.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Scar.
Mm.
That's all I have to say.
Wow. Are we done with that?
I think so. I'm trying to decide how I want to score it. I thought it was bland throughout, and there's little to write home about. I'm going to give it a 4.
I've said everything I need to say. I'm going to give it a 5. It's fine.
I mean, you're not going to be popping this on in the car, are you?
No.
Ever. I gave it a 5.
There we go.
I mean, there's nothing offensively bad. You know,
No.
like in the wild when they started playing clocks as they came out of the tunnel.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Why would you bring that up?
Well, there was nothing like that made me go, it's getting a 2, this is terrible. But there was certainly nothing to give it more than a 5, I don't think.
I've tallied the scores up already. So
Right, well, let me
you
tell
have
you.
to tell us the IMDb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tell us.
I am. Okay, it's not glowing, guys. So it had a budget of 150 million. It made 169 million, which, yes, is a profit, but it's not a Disney profit particularly. It's, you know, I mean, if you work that in percent, it's pretty small. 19 million. So the IMDb score is often 7.2, 7.3. This was 6.8, so it's a little under the wire
A
there.
bit higher than the last few, though, isn't it?
Oh, it is higher than both the last two, which
Going in the
were
right direction.
universally poor.
Yes.
And then I think that's where my score feels. It's not good, but it's better than the last two. And then Rotten Tomatoes was 76 from the 67 from the critics. Very tired. And then from the audience, it was 74. Lukewarm at best.
Right. I forgot. The Wild got the lowest score we've ever done, didn't it?
It did. It got 20 something.
It got 32.
Oh, 32.
The new lowest score after
Right.
37 of Oliver & Co.
Yeah.
Now, this, quite appropriately, is one less than, where was it? Chicken Little.
Oh.
One less than Chicken Little.
One more than the Star Wars Holiday Special. which I'm sorry to hear. Actually,
Mm.
I'll just put you out of misery. It's 56 out of 100.
I am a little. Well, I mean, I scored it quite harshly. I gave it 5 in both the things.
It's the same as Toy Story 4.
No, it's better than Toy Story 4.
Well, yeah,
I
anything is.
can't judge Toy Story 4. I just can't judge it. I don't accept its existence. Thing is, I will happily watch this again. I feel like I found a new Disney film that I like and I will watch. The animation's terrible and the music was nothing, but the story and the characters and the sentiments, I'll continue to watch it. Whereas Chicken Little and the Wild, I'm quite disappointed it's below Chicken Little because I will never watch those 2 films again if I can.
I get that.
It's only 4 lessons. Saludos amigos.
Gosh.
We mustn't have liked Saludos amigos.
Maybe we should
60.
go back and start all over again and score them again.
I think some of those, they were difficult though, because if you break them, the more than the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we just judge the parts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Coming all together. I feel like Meet the Robinsons is more than the sum of its parts.
Any favourite bits?
Oh.
I don't, by the way.
Just the montage at the end, and even though I've just slated the music, even with that music, and it's nice. It's quite nice.
I'm just going to tease before people start like dropping off because we're winding up that we do have an extra feature coming up because we got asked some questions about the 3 of us.
We did.
Origin stories.
But we will come on to that in a moment. But yeah, just because we're just kind of going, we're just petering out. But we got some more stuff coming.
I'll tell you what my favourite bit was. My favourite bit was when he finally got to go and see who his mum was, and he decided not to do it because he didn't need to. I thought that was a lovely, lovely moment. That he suddenly realised he got a place, he got a family, he got a future, and he didn't need to know who his mum was.
Chris, you're stepping all over the cry factor here.
It's absolutely beautiful.
He really loves him. I don't know why they just can't be together.
Hugh's cry factor.
Yeah, I did get up to a 2. I mean, there was nothing right up till the end, but I got up to a 2 when Lewis realised he already had a family. Like, yeah, okay, that's nice. But then that blooming Walt Disney quote just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Sucker punches you. I'm not going to go crazy, but it was a good 3.
That was my favourite bit you didn't ask, but the quote at the end. It made the film worth it.
It did that thing where it shows you the quote, and then it erases most of it.
Just leaves a bit,
and it just leaves up the sort of salient points. What's the bit it left up? Like
keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward, and you're like.
He did say keep moving forward 40 times in a minute.
But what's annoying is how it can do that. How a film that I didn't enjoy, didn't feel much emotional attachment to at all, and then it just pops up a Disney quote at the end with a bit of sad music, and I go, "Oh, that was nice."
It's the beach factor. I'm telling you. I'm dubbing it the beach factor.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
Do you know what's the opposite of the beach factor? Sorry to go off on one now.
Go on.
Have you ever seen AI?
I knew that was coming.
Oh, I haven't seen AI, no.
I'm legendarily cross about that film. It's a brilliant film and it should have ended 20 minutes before it ended. And then the last 20 minutes ruin everything you've seen for the other 2 hours. I won't ruin it for you, Chris.
That's a bit like the last Lord of the Rings film, isn't it? Where like it finishes and then there's a whole hour of them walking home.
Oh yeah, well that's the book. Have you read Lord of the Rings? That's the book.
Yeah. Well, no, I've read the second book. There's a lot of Ents walking around.
We had a couple of messages on Twitter. We put the call out to what people thought. Girl reliable Caitlin Jackson once again said, "It has been quite a while since I've seen this one, but I remember having a heartfelt and optimistic message." I mean, it does quite literally have a message at the end. The animation style isn't my favourite. Bob Sangwell said, not keen on the animation style. So it's funny that people are all pointing out the animation style. But love the Todayland reference.
Yes.
We didn't mention that,
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And the story is okay, if a little convoluted, but Walt's keep moving forwards attitude at the end is a nice touch.
That's pretty much summed up exactly what we said about it. Yeah. I like that they talk about not liking the animation style as if there is a style to that animation.
I think that's the problem. There isn't, and there could have been.
It's just mundane.
So, Hugh, Tell us about you've teased something, and now we're in a position to do it.
To follow through on it.
Yeah.
Mercedes from Chat Disney. She wanted to ask us a few questions about like our origin story, really, our Spider-Man origin story. So I was bitten by a radioactive Chris a few years ago. No, so I've got 4 questions here. I'll read them all because there might be a bit of overlap. How did Hugh and Lucy meet Chris?
Oh, that's me.
We have to do that in a different order.
When did Hugh and Lucy meet and how? Why 37 Disney Street? And how old are the children? Well, we can start. That's an easy one. The children. Bonnie's 6.
Lucas is. He's 7. He's 8 next month, and Ollie is
nearly
4.
8. And
Just
Ollie's
4.
4.
Yeah.
Can I start the origin story with how me and Chris met first, which I know isn't the order that it went, but this is chronological.
I feel like I think it's a good idea. This. I feel like that we have 3 meeting stories probably.
Yeah.
Somehow. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I met Chris before Lucy.
Yes. Well, let me do it. Let's go chronological. Let's go chronological.
You go.
So, I'm a dance teacher. I own a dance school. Before that, my mum owned the dance school, and Chris's parents are very, very big in the local amateur dramatics. His mum's
kind
very
of a big
talented
deal.
performer. They are a big deal.
They're like the Sopranos of amateur dramatics.
His dad directs a lot of things, and basically before either of us were born, I believe
they'll offer you a part you can't refuse.
my mum was choreographing. Well, I know she choreographed your mum in Hello Dolly when your mum
that
was
wasn't
Dolly.
before I was born.
That wasn't before you were born. Then.
I was born in London, so I was born.
Oh, okay then. No, it
they
wasn't
moved up
before you were
north.
born. It was before I was born.
Yes.
So I don't remember meeting Chris. I want to do that thing where I say I've always known Chris, but that kind of what it feels like. The time when I can say for definite is when I was about 11 and you were about 14. We were in Treasure Island together.
We were, yeah.
I think that's the first time we were in things like actually working together. But I think we must have known each other longer than that. But there is an age
that's my
difference.
first memory of knowing
me
you
as a
was
person.
then, and then I didn't know you for a long time, and then a couple of years later, and then probably only a year later,
No, we
I
did a
joined the
few
arts
shows
group.
in a row, Chris, because we did June. Right, basically, how much older than me are you? 4 years? No, 3 years older than me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is he 2 years?
Yeah, 3 years older. Yes, 3 years.
Simon is a year older than me, and that's
Yes.
Chris's brother. And I actually knew Simon a lot better.
I
'cause
think we're getting into territory
Okay.
that the audience don't care
I
about.
mean, just need to get this out though. Me and Simon
Treasure
were
Island.
in the same year at DAG Juniors, but you were on a Friday night because you were a different boat.
Yeah.
So we stayed in contact all through DAG Juniors because there was quite a lot of stuff going on.
You were in John Durnley's class,
Yes,
weren't
I
you?
was.
Which was the year group below me and Si.
Oh, right, okay.
And this guy, John Durnley, I met in Hull.
Totally
Independent
separate.
of all of this, I randomly met him in Hull.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
It's all really so. Yeah, basically, me and Chris, it just time immemorial kind of thing. Right
Yeah.
now, Chris and Hugh.
Well, I know. I my story of this was disputed by Chris for a bit, because I went to school with Chris's younger brother Simon. I had a couple of classes with him. I know I had French. I might have had maths with him. Oh no, we definitely had geography.
He was called Wiggy at school.
Oh, I don't remember.
Apparently.
Actually, I remember your brother being geography because my friend Chris was very competitive, and he realised that he couldn't beat your brother in geography assessments. So one day he said to me, he went, "Hugh, beat Simon for me." And I actually did. And then for the rest of the school, like the GCSE period, I always got top marks because I just thought, all right, I'll try. Anyway,
I love that. So Si motivated you indirectly
via
to apply
Woody
yourself better.
being competitive and a bad sportsman. But we were once in this club called the Frontier, and I was with my friend Johnny, and Johnny lives down the road from you. So he said, "Oh, there's Chris Fletcher, Simon's brother." So we went over and we talked to you for a bit, and I didn't really know you. And because you'd come back from London, or maybe you were still at uni or something, you kept saying, "Oh, it's a London thing, isn't it?" And then, like,
Because you were cool when you were 19.
and
No,
years
drunk,
later,
I think is what it was.
yeah,
What
but,
it would be.
years later, I said to Chris, "Oh, I met you in the frontier," and you were saying it's a London thing, and you were saying, "What? I don't think so." And I said, "No, you were," because we quoted it for quite a while afterwards. But other than that, then we started to just bump into each other in the pub, didn't we?
Well,
Like,
I think
towards the end.
Yeah, I think that I started going down to the West Riding, which is was the local pub that Hugh and Lucy could always be found in. But I think I actually started hanging around with Lucy's brother. And
Did you?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Mike. So I think that was because of John. I have a feeling. I don't know why, but yeah, I think I'd gone down there for a drink with John Durnley once.
This sounds like a really small town, doesn't it? It's not that small. This is all really coincidental.
Here's the thing, though. Sometimes the theatre, the Fletchers would come into the West Riding afterwards for a drink, and I would talk to you sometimes, and I would, because I'd had a few, I'd go, "Oh, I want to get involved in this," and then the next day I'd wake up and I'd think, "No," and your mum would just say, "Well, just become a member," and I'd go, "Oh yeah, okay," and the next day I'd think, "No, I can't," and then one day we went out for Simon's birthday, the aforementioned Simon, your brother, in Leeds, and you came up to me and you said, "I'm desperate. I'm trying to cast 4 guys in a play, and around about the same age, and we don't have enough. Do you want to audition?" And I got the part in that, and you directed it, and that was my first ever play, and which has changed my life, Chris.
Yeah, I know. I changed your life in terms of this. Si changed your life indirectly by making you apply yourself. Just look at the influence that we've had on you guys, and my father.
Your dad put me in my first musical.
Lucy in something where she had to sing about premature ejaculation. So,
God, that was awful. No, it wasn't. It was a really good musical. But
what was it called? Saturday night. Slice of Saturday night.
Slice of Saturday night. It was very explicit.
So
he also cast.
We've always been there. We just didn't know it. I think that's the story here, really.
There's a triangle of coincidences. Now, Hugh and I met completely independent of Chris.
Can you believe that?
I know. It sounds like Chris should have introduced.
Which one of my relatives did do this?
It wasn't even a factor in it. My friend from sixth form was attempting to date his friend from his sixth form, and they worked in Halfords together. Oh. And it was a bit. Oh, listen, he's invited me to the pub. But will you come with me because I'm nervous? And then she took me along and he took him along, and we ended up getting together, and they didn't. Well, no, they did,
but then they broke up.
A few months later.
We were wingmen.
We were wingmen.
And we fell in love.
So it wasn't so much a blind date. I don't think we were intended to be set up. We were both wingmen.
I didn't go knowing that there was a girl there that I was to distract.
No.
There was a few people there. I think Stuart was there. There's a few people there. So yeah, it's kind of funny that we were wingmen and then we got together.
I feel like I'm in between you both now, and I want you to be able to affectionately touch each other. But Hugh, you'd have to reach an arm through my body to embrace her.
Don't want to break the illusion.
No.
Right. So that's how. So hang on, I must clarify.
It's quite confusing
chronologically,
bunch of stories.
That this whole thing about Hugh getting involved in the arts group is about, we'd been together about 8 years by then, hadn't we?
That was late 2010.
And I think there was also a big event of surprise where we both realised we both knew you as well. I think that must have happened when somebody walked into a bar. We're like, you know him. Yeah.
There you go. I knew Hugh from school. I mean, I didn't know him, but I knew of him.
Yeah.
And I'd seen him about and that. But,
also, your old housemate was in my class at school.
Ben.
Yeah.
And the guy that you're going to America with and his family, he went to Hull University as well, didn't he?
He did. He didn't go at the same time though.
No, not at the same time. But he
was it a different? Did he go to Hull and we went to Lincoln though?
Yeah.
Okay. But he was in Hull anyway.
The last question, Chris. Why 37 Disney Street? That's an easy one.
I had a massive list. I wrote them all down somewhere a while ago. the list of
Potential
names that
names.
were suggested. Yeah.
Oh, can I just say in
Were
my
great.
defence here?
Oh, here we go. I've got them all here. Do you want to read
Okay,
them out?
let me say in my defence though, because we were trying to come up with a name and no one was coming up with any suggestions. And I just decided one morning I'm going to sit down and I'm going to come up with 50 suggestions. Now, this is a technique they use on The Apprentice, and you know that 49 of them are going to be SHIT. So I apologise in advance.
I'm only going to read a few out, but you'll get the idea. Talk through Disney, walk through Disney, talk the classic,
Is the chat Disney?
down with
probably is.
Disney, Disney and chill, the Dizcast, Jiminy Crickets. Oh no, Jiminy's Crickets. Sorry, an ounce of mouse,
These are band names.
I know.
the Waltonators, Disney Street, just another Disney podcast. What else? Of Cabbages and Kings. I think that was my suggestion. Of Cabbages and Kings, and I put it's a podcast after all as well. That was my other suggestion.
Do you know what I'm good at? I'm very good at naysaying suggestions, but not coming up with anything.
Yeah, you are.
Oh yeah, no, you're very good at that. Yeah.
But what I am good at doing is championing something when I go, wait a minute, there's something there.
Yeah.
So we came up with this concept that we live in a house, and we were going to sort of, the initial concept was we were going to play more on the fact that we've just watched it in the living room.
Kids are up in the nursery.
Well, yeah, that's still kind of true, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
I
just live
put
in this
that
house
into the
together.
intros quite a lot at the start, didn't I? About what the kids were up to.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
I did it today as well, actually.
So, and then we're like, well, maybe we need some kind of number, something Disney Street, you know, like that kids TV show number.
I know the one you're talking about, but I can't remember.
I don't know, number 37. Yeah, so we're like 37, and we thought, well, 1937 was when it started with Snow White, so 37 Disney Street, and
And it was a bit of a mystical number as well, isn't it?
I kind of took other people's ideas and enthusiastically pieced them together. I think that was my input, as small as it was.
I think Disney Street was on the list of 50 that I did, and Hugh went, don't like any of them. And I went, oh, I quite like Disney Street. I thought we could live there. And then I think Hugh did Tapestry, the rest of it together.
Yeah. And you suggested a few different dates for suitable numbers for suitable dates that matched up and everything. But because we were doing the classics and because Snow White was the first one, it fit. And then I said, I listen to a lot of Kevin Smith podcasts, and he's got this kind of thing about number 37 being a mystical number, and there's this whole thing of the number 37 appears everywhere and everything people do. And then you went, oh yeah, well, I quite like the idea of that, of that number. I mean, of that being a hook as well, and that was kind of where it came from, I think.
And here we are 2 years later.
And if you look in the logo, the 3 and the 7 are a W and an L from Walt.
Yeah, nice.
I think the 7 is.
Look,
maybe not so much, but the 3 is definitely.
Yes.
Is that it?
I think so. What
answer all Mercedes questions.
What else do you want to know, Mercedes? We should have had Mercedes on, so she could have asked us these questions.
Yeah.
And then we could have.
I think we might have gone into too much detail with how we met. It's not a simple question.
Shouldn't have asked, should you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's confusing.
There we go. Yeah, we'll have to start thinking about our 10-year anniversary show soon. Well, because it's only going to be 2 months off now.
That's true.
Beginning of June.
The question of what's next, though, is we were going to do Enchanted, and I've already started researching it, and then we went on Disney Plus, and it's not on
there,
and it's not anywhere. On any UK streaming. So,
and they're making a sequel. What are they playing at?
I would really like to do it. So I'm going to see if I can put a word out if anyone's got a DVD we can borrow. I don't know if you can do the same, Chris.
I will do.
But if
we
can't both get hold of it, we won't be doing it.
I think maybe we should wait a little bit longer to see if because it will come on to Disney Plus eventually.
Why don't we just wait and wait when it comes back on? We'll just say we're going to take a step back and we'll go and do it.
It makes sense to do it when people might want to watch it as well. Yeah, because if we just if we review it and people like it and then they go, oh well, we can't find it anywhere, then that's frustrating.
True. In which case, Bolt, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bolt next.
I see
We're
Chicken
heading out
Little.
of the dark.
Yeah, Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, and Bolt. I see those as a trio.
And the Wild.
Nah, I didn't know
Wild's
the
just
Wild existed.
a wild card.
I didn't even know it existed until Chris told me. So that's just off somewhere.
So we've got Bolt, and Princess and the Frog.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're home free.
Yeah, then we can get the heck out of Dodge and start doing some films I'm quite excited to review.
Although Princess and the Frog's going to be a good one, I think.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I meant by Home Free. I love Princess and the Frog.
I didn't realise it was Randy Newman. So that was quite a little eye opener for me this week.
Even the bit where he goes, "Just a princess kissing on a frog."
I actually, when I started thinking of songs like Dig a Little Deeper with his voice in it, I thought, actually, no, it does fit entirely. Because it will work. But I wasn't aware of it, so it was quite a nice thing. There you go. Well, I guess we can wrap this up now, can't we? No Unicorn of Shame this week, or have we gone past that?
We're just reaching it.
We have gone into Unicorn of Shame area.
There it is.
But yeah, as I knew we were getting towards the end, I didn't hold up.
Oh, well, there we go. Now we've seen it.
The beast.
We'll pull it to an end. Pull it, drag it, kicking and screaming to an end. Good. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as well. We've also got a Patreon account, so if you want to support us with a little small contribution, that's very welcome. It helps us do clever stuff and get better equipment and improve things, even when we have technical issues like we've had today. And we'll be back with Bolt in a fortnight. Don't forget to watch our other stuff. The LP show is on every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. BST, for those of you who are not in the UK. And what else? Oh, Quizny Street. We do that every other week on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday.
Not this week, but next week there'll be one, which won't make any sense at all if you're not watching it this week. But whatever.
Oh, we do all sorts.
Yeah, just go on YouTube and have a look, because there's a right load of stuff. And Lucy's been doing hordes of things recently.
I've got a
loads of
Disney
great stuff.
bounding video ready to edit, but it's the school holidays.
There you go. And
That's all I've got to say.
And finally, a huge thank you to everybody who sponsored us. No, subscribed to our channel so far. We've just bust the 100 mark, which is a really pretty nice thing to have.
100,000.
104 now.
No, just 100.
We are getting to the point where we're getting new people every day, and you always start slow on these things, and we seem to be pedaling.
Yeah, it's good. Right, anyway, I'm going to shut up now. And I suggest you two do as well. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, pals.